So here's the issue we have with the MMR oil lines. So my oil filter's right here, and my lines run up and over there and screw into there. But with the steering rack on, let me get y'all turned around. You can't put a adapter in this top one, okay? Like I can't even fit my finger right there between there. You can see how it's squished in, okay? So by the time this is stepped out, it hits all up into here. It's just not clear. So Mike's gonna have to fabricate something that basically comes off at a 90 and back like this, so that these lines can be screwed in over here. You know, I wish it was a better design, but the way my steering rack is, it's just too close. So I'm gonna get this adapter out, and we're gonna take this to the shop and weld some kind of pipes on here in 90s, and then put the bongs on them where they're farther away from that to get the clearance that we need. So basically, now we got this out, you can see this better, okay? So if we're flat on the table, we need our fittings to basically be a 90 like that, because when they come out like this is just hitting the rack, so we need a 90. So all I'm thinking is that we come in here and we grind all of this down, grind some down in here, and Mike welds this one actually like this, okay? So he should have enough meat on there that he can weld around that. He's gonna have to weld that one at an angle because you need enough clearance right here to get your bolt in. See, it just barely sneaks by. So if he clocks it like that, you'll be able to sneak it by and get it in there, but he's gonna definitely have to tilt it hardcore like that on that one. Now I can't get it to stay again. Anyway, you get the picture. Hardcore like that on that one, and then this one can be a 90 off the block, you know, but it's got to be rolled like that because it's just not working like this. So it's gonna have to be like that. And then we can hook our lines up to that. So it's gonna have to go to the shop. He's gonna have to use these pieces to weld them in and make that work. So yeah, that's what we're up against. All this little stuff is the stuff that I hate more than anything. I'd rather build a whole entire another race car than deal with all this little stuff. But it is what it is. So we'll get at that on Monday. I'll take it to Mike and break him the news that I need more welding, Mike. It's always something, man. All right, we're gonna start working on these burn down tubes. So this is what you have from the factory, is this little cutout. What I've done is I've took some tape and made my template on here basically like this. So I made my template like that, pull that off, and then trace it over to your metal. We can get that cut out. And then this is the pipe that's gonna be getting welded onto that. And then that's gonna get cut in half. So basically it's gonna cut in half here, and that's gonna get welded onto there. And then the bungs for the burn down tubes are gonna get welded onto the end of here like this, and then they'll screw on. So, and then these will probably get riveted and panel bonded to the valve covers. So let's get this cut out, and then we'll start fitting for our hole. All right, so I've cut my metal out. Okay, and then to find the center of my hole, how I do it, because I don't have anything fancy, is I take a hole saw that's about as big as the circle that I drew, and then I actually just take a marker, circle the inside. That gets it down even smaller, and then I just put an 1/8 of an inch hole right there. So that's gonna find you pretty close to center if you don't have any fancy tools and you're just a build it in your garage guy like me. Now we're gonna take our hole saw. This one fits the outer diameter pretty much of the pipe, okay? So now we're gonna take our hole saw and cut that out, and then that's what Mike's gonna be able to weld that pipe to, and then weld the bungs to the end to burn down to. So let's get that cut out. Alright, so this is how I find the center of mine. So I just put me a square line in the center of the board like this to find center. And then what I do is I measure the distance from here to here, which is 7.5, divide that by 2, that's 3 3/4. So from here to here would be 3 3/4. Line that up, get your ends square with your board, and then just trace your line through it. You know, just take your Sharpie and rough draw through it. That's gonna roughly give you a square cut. This is all rough, it don't matter, it don't have to be perfect. cut that and then move on to the next step. Passenger one is a whole lot tighter, okay? And I'm using big pipe. You probably don't need one this big. We actually have to, looks like we need to notch it out a little past that. But you quite don't need something this big. I just wanted it as big as possible. But that's basically what you got for the passenger side. So it's gonna go like that. And I'm gonna index these like that so that hopefully they clear the coal. But yeah, that's what you get. So I got a big hole compared to that one. I was gonna use smaller ones. I'm thinking get a rivet here and a rivet here and a rivet there and then panel bond the perimeter. And I'm thinking we'll be okay. I was going to use smaller, but here's why I did not, okay? And originally I even purchased pipe. I purchased this size. Okay, purchased this size, which was a lot smaller than that. But the hose I purchased that everybody uses, okay, this hole, that's the size fitting that's needed for the end. It's a -12, it's needed for that, corrugated. So then when you get the -12 like this, and then when you put it on this pipe, I guess I could have had it machined down with somebody that has a lathe, but it's just looking too big. Okay, so your fitting is gonna be huge. It's gonna be all the way out here. So it's just looking too big on that pipe. It just doesn't look that great. So this fitting is gonna look a lot more proportionate. Okay, see that? Looks a lot more proportionate to that tube, and then Mike can lay his weld right inside there. So that's the only reason why I went with this size, is literally just because of the tube. So all the issue starts with the tube, just being as big as it is. But it is what it is. The passenger side, that was the driver's side. The passenger side is a whole lot better because you got more room over here to work with than the other side. So it's not bad at all. But that driver's side one gets a little tight. So this one at least has some perimeter. But like I said, I think with panel bond will be perfectly fine. And using these factory holes, they are baffled. You know, and not drilling these out or making them any bigger or whatever. We'll actually use the valve covers probably to weld the piece up. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'll just have Mike weld it to the top. But yeah, so keeping that factory hole, it stays baffled. And I might drill this hole out, actually. Might do that. That way you keep the baffling, but open that hole up some. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll see when we take the valve covers off what it's looking like. But yeah, that's what it's gonna be. And hey, I got a question. If anybody's ever seen anything like this. So this valve cover was ordered brand new from Ford dealership, because I destroyed this side when I was pulling this motor originally out of the vehicle. So what you got is you got all your bolts that go around the perimeter of it, but check that out. Them bolts are not drilled. That one is, that one is, every other one is drilled, but them are not. Okay, and there's more down there. On the bottom, that one is, that one's not. That one is, that one's not. It's weird. I don't know if anybody's ever seen anything like that. I should have probably returned it or called them or asked, but I didn't. That was the F-150. The motor's a F-150 motor, or originally the block. There ain't nothing left of it. Even the timing chain cover is Mustang now. And this is a Mustang valve cover, whereas that's the F-150 valve covers, and it has all the holes. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I doubt it. It don't make no sense why the Mustangs would have every other bolt hole drilled. But anyway, we're going to drill them while this valve cover's off so I can put all the bolts in it. I don't know why. It might just have been a misprint from the factory. But that's the basics of the burn down tubes. We're going to get it to Mike, have him weld that up. And then I've got this panel right here. And you can see there's a fitting on the end of one actually already. So if you hold it up like that, that's what it's going to look like. So see, that's a lot more proportionate than stepping down to that little tube. So it is what it is. But we're going to take this panel and square cut this, and he's going to weld these to that. And then this panel is actually going to go into the firewall back here, possibly behind the intake, is my thoughts. But I also might just put it over here, each bung. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I might buy some ones that bolt in, that you basically hole saw your hole and then you bolt in the bulkhead, you know, versus welding in. Because then on the other side, I was going to use pipe and hose clamps, but on this side, since you can see it to the firewall, it was going to have fittings on the motor and on the engine bay, and that way if you needed to pull the motor out, you could just get that hose all the way out of the way. But yeah, that's where we're at for right now. So we'll get these to the shop and get Mike to weld these up, and then I will show y'all them on the vehicle.